Yeah. You need access. Okay, are you done? Two minutes left. Okay. Really? Yeah. Poonam, do you have some answers online from the sheet? Okay. Wow, that's great. I see most of you have answered. For example, this question, what are the factors associated with malaria knowledge among women in Mozambique? The main outcome there, you're looking at the knowledge. It's I suppose it's a binary yes, no. And the other variables, you look at the age, like how is age also associated with this knowledge. You also look at place of residence. Okay. Marital status. Okay, this is interesting. So how marital status is also associated with the knowledge of malaria, sure, among women. And another additional variable is health access. Great. We also have what are the seasonal variations in the prevalence of malaria in Pediatrics living in endemic countries, the outcome variable is malaria cases. Then we look at the regions. As the explanatory variable, we also looked at pediatrics. I wonder this pediatrics what it is. Also, we have month. So the main objective in this slide is to understand that whenever you have your research question, and there should be a connection, there should be an interlink between the variables that you're coming out. The variables that you formulate, they should really have an objective of answering your research questions. So you can, at some point, you'll receive, maybe you're working with a secondary data set, and you have received a very big, large data set with 300 columns or even 200 columns and forth. It does not mean that you have to work with all the columns. You just have to identify the specific variables that are very significant to answer your research questions. Okay, I'm going back, I'm sharing. To those people online, I did not share that, but do you have any question? Okay. Okay. So let's proceed. Now we have these 4 key important components, and these are the key points that you should always have in mind when you're starting your research study. The first thing is the goal. You have to be very clear of what you would like to generate from the data. As I formally say that before you start your cleaning and proceed with the data management activities, you should be clear of the aim, you should be clear of the hypothesis, you should have that goal in mind as you proceed to do other data management activities. But the other thing that you should also carry in mind is the quality. Data should be reliable, should be clean, should be tidy. So how can you ensure that the data set that you have is complete, reliable, and tidy? Again, as I said, you can start this at the very beginning when you're planning your research study, when you're developing your data collection tool. So you can program it that the interviewer have to ask and make sure that all the questions have been answered. And especially when you're dealing with electronic questionnaire, you can set it as required so that all the important questions that you need to be asked are asked. In this case, you will be sure that you are having a complete data set, and the data set is also reliable. You can also set the range. Example, your research study needs people from 6 years old to 45 years old. So you can set that range to avoid unnecessary entries. At the end of the day, you'll have a quality data set. The other thing is skill. In skill here, we're speaking about personnel and tools. So collect, assess, visualize, analyze, and present, and store your data set. So technically, in this phase of skills, we're talking of 2 important things. First, the personnel. The person who is going to the field to collect data should have training, should have experience. I remember back in time, we used to train for the whole week before we go to the field to collect data. So you are the principal investigator, you have your research question, you just can't give it to the field personnel to go blindly. You have to make sure that the field personnel understands the objective of each question. Because the field questionnaire, all he wants at the end of the day, it's usually money, the per diem of the day. So if he is not clear with what the question means or what the question requires, he'll just go and ask the questions blindly. Or even worse, he will probe them to the real answers, so you will not have the answers that you need. So the other thing, the thing that you're speaking here, it's about personnel, that you should make sure that the ones who is going to correct the data is very familiar with your study, is very familiar of each question, what is asked, but also we're talking about the tools that you're going to use. If you're going to use maybe ODK, or maybe you're using RedCap, or maybe you're using other tools for data analysis, you should make sure that these tools are understandable and they are used by the right person. And the other thing to have in mind during when you're starting a research project, it's about security. So we know that, data is very precious. I remember our directors used to say, of course, data is the engine of the study. So data should be very much secured. Some research studies require us to collect individual identification. Some studies require to collect the location of the study participants. So you, as the data analyst or data manager, or as the owner of the study, you should make sure that these identifiable information are not accessible to everyone. You should know how to protect the data of the participants. You should know how to handle access. Not everyone should have access to the data. Oh, thank you. Okay. So before we jump into the data sources and the data types, there is this section of slide that for some reason I skipped, and I'm very interested to know your ideas. It will help me to guide ahead. So there is this question. I really want to know, most of you, I want to believe you have worked with data files before. And at some point of the time, you received the data files of different formats, of different type, of different messiness and cleanliness. So I want to hear from you the moment when you received the data file. What is your experience for the first time when you received the data file? How was it? There's this slide that will hide it. That would you get this later? It's lost. So I'll repeat the question. Can you flash back the time when you received the data file for the first time, or maybe you usually receive it, and there's this point you receive the data file and it was like, what is this? You didn't understand. You didn't understand the data file itself. Shamsen has a question. Okay, so can you share with us your experience on that? Yes, anyone?
Yeah, good morning.
You raised your hand? Yeah.
Yes. So, good morning. Once I received a data from, I was working COVID-19 surveillance. It was called the walkthrough, and it was so terrible. Why? Because data wasn't clean, and especially on the place of residence. In Mozambique, we have many ways of writing a place of residence, and it was a data manager with about something like 50,000 observations, and it was very terrible to clean the data. And I didn't it alone. I asked for help for some colleagues to help me. And until now, I don't know how I managed to finish. So it's like I took about a month to clean the data, and my supervisor was waiting for me for the results, to know where the COVID-19 cases were coming from. And it was so terrible for me, and I didn't sleep. So it was a bad experience. But I think that even now, we're still having those kind of problems.
Yeah.
For example, last year, and I think that in 1 month I will be working on that too. It's like we are collecting data on health facilities to map the malaria cases so that we can certify the RS. And I hope I will have the same problem too, because we have the name of the place that the person is coming from. Yeah, there's a lot for now. The place that the person is coming from, the place that is coming from, we have to combine with the name on the shape files. So it's very difficult. Sometimes we lose some data because we don't find the place where that person's coming from, and so terrible.
Yeah.
And I hope that this course helps me to to minimize those kind of problems. Over.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure. Thank you, Gerson. And I can relate to that. I can relate, especially when you are merging the geographic locations and it happens that it has been named differently. So even the shapefiles, they cannot merge. And you end up, as you said, losing all required to drop some of the information. And really, that's bad because at the end, the results will not reflect the reality. So somebody else who can give us an experience? Yes, Lembris, thank you.
We find the same content people in malaria at the given so you have to clean. And then other things that there was a challenge with names of the cancers. They have the name of the cancers, and if you go to check file, there's no cancers. There is districts. So you have to kind of link the district, and there was no even idea of linking the councils with the district. So it was a terrible exercise, but that's how the data comes out.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, Kaiser?
Okay, thank you. So, personally, I have worked on the data generation part of the best way I could feel data produce. So, I live there.
Yeah.
So, one of my frustration is receiving data set without data dictionary. So, if people are giving me the data set, they don't give me the data dictionary. Like they assume I know what every variable means, which most of the time it's not, because most of the time the context they have, I don't have that context that they have.
Yeah.
So I have turned this frustration into my work. When I produce a data set, I try to create a data dictionary. So I try to create like the mapping what every variable in the data set means, so that the data consumer will be easier for them to understand the data needs.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So there was a time we were working on the data sets, and we're coming from different sites in the country. So we had about 20-something different spellings for a particular hospital. about 20 something. Some received 2 dots, different. So it was so clumsy, very, very. In fact, I didn't even know where to start from. Having over 40,000 entries. So it was one very, very disturbing experience.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. Anyone online who wants to add on that? Well, thank you all. Thank you very much for your constructive contribution. And we have, at least we have got the glimpse of, again, what we are supposed to do. Example, if it is your study, you have created this questionnaire and you have this data set, it's good to prepare a data dictionary. This will not only serve the person who is going to analyze your data, but it will also ensure that you are having the correct results at the end of the day, because all this works in a cycle. So the garbage in at the very beginning, it will give you the wrong results at the end. But again, we are also going to see about the reproducibility. That means if you have your example geographic locations, how you can standardize them and how you can repetitively use them in future. Thank you very much. So let's dive into the data sources and data types. So we know that in health, public health research, data comes in variety of sources. And these sources have their strength, they have their limitation, they have their level of reliability. So some of them, as the DHIS2, the DHS clinical trial, these are just some of the available health data sources. We have a lot of them out there. Talking about DHIS2, the routine health information system, we can see that it is very good in the case of seasonality. Its information, it's continuous, and it comes in very handy when you need to have that seasonal trend. When you jump into the DHS, it also have its own strength, that it goes to the community level. It's very representative in that area. So each data source, it carries its own strength and it carries its own limitation. Now, when we talk about data sources, we also have to talk about the data types. So we cannot talk about the data sources without the data type. Now you have your, sorry, I have to put this a little bit down and demonstrate this, an example of one of the data sources. This is the malaria indicator survey. To those who have not come in contact with it, you can click the link and see it. So the first page, you can just quick look at the important things, the name of the households. These are the identifier information. The interviewer's name, it usually is like this. But on the left-hand side, you can see it's very well standardized. And when I say it's standardized, you can see that the A, B, C, D, the radio, television, and everything. So this one really prevents people, if it is someone who is typing, cannot put like radio, cannot put ready or ready or something. The values, the choices are very well standardized. We can also see the skip pattern. So if this is an electronic questionnaire, that means if the user in question 503, are there ways to avoid getting malaria? So if it's an electronic questionnaire, it will straight skip him to 505 if the user said no. But again, if this is a paper questionnaire, it's very easy to make a mistake because sometimes the interviewer will forget to automatically skip to that question and again ask the following question, which was supposed to be skipped. So the data collection method really matters in having the quality of data. So generally, this slide shows an example of one of the data sources, the malaria indicator survey. So again, we say that we're going to talk about the data types. When you have the data sources, you have to know the data types. So the data types come also in a variety of ways. We have the data types by structure. We also have the data types by variable names. So when we talk about structure, we usually know that the data types are in the data set is in spreadsheet, and most of us, we have worked with spreadsheets. It's very well organized, the number of columns, the number of rows, the data is very neat and fine. But there are some instances where you will receive the data set in a very different structure. You can receive a semi-structured example, the JSON or the XML. You can receive the unstructured. So as the data analyst or data manager, you should be very well prepared with different data sources and data types that you can receive. So there was a point where I received it was the spirometry measurement used to measure the lung disease and stuff. So the data set was completely XML. And the one, should I say the principal investigator, all he wants at the end of the day is the data sets to be merged. So it is your objective to know different tools and how you can convert this data set from this structure to a different structure, how you can convert an image, how you can extract data from an image, because at the end of the day, all these are sources of data, and that is information, and we need to manipulate that information. Then we have the data types, and this is very important, identifying the data type of your data set, because it defines how you're going to clean your data set. It defines how you're going to analyze, visualize, and report it. So there are a variety of them. We have numeric, which can be continuous or discrete. We have categorical, binary, dates and time, and forth. Yes, Osman?
You have data and you are familiarized.
So you said if you have your data in CSV and
No. One time.
yeah, data security, yeah. Well, I will not advise. I will not advise that. So if your data is in a different format, example the JSON, and of course we have a lot of available online tools where you can drop it and automatically have it in the right format. So this data, again, it's very confidential and you just can't throw it online like that. I want to suggest that you have to download such application, and if very necessary, it is costful. It's good that the institution can incur cost and have it on spot in your institution, because at the end of the day, you might need to use it next time. So it's very good to have that tool within your institution and use it rather than taking the whole data set and throw it online. So one of my director used to say, of course, this data, apart from having particular information, it's also money. So this data is money. You just can't, people are going to have it. They're going to use he knows that you're going to use it in research, come up with publication, find money and stuff. So always protect your data. Yeah, so can you quickly, you have a question? Yeah. Is it turned on? Yeah, so if the data type that the source of data, it's an image. Tools. Yeah, okay. So if I've understood you correctly, it means your source data, it's an image and you really need to extract that information. Yeah, so in MAP, we are doing this a lot. So there are these tools that they're very specific for that. And if I'm not mistaken, one of it, it's something OCR. I think we can go down and Yeah. Okay, Osman.
Yeah, I don't know if you have anyone in it. So, I think that when that got gas in Koda, doesn't it?
Yeah, let me just add to this, right? There's different data structures. There's different data types. Structure is how you get the data, right? So an image is a type of structure. It's it can either be called a raster, it can be called an image, it can be called anything. Doesn't have to be vegetation, it can be a kitty cat, right? That's what AI uses. Then you get databases. Those have columns and rows. You get matrices. Those are also columns and rows. But the difference between a database and a data type is in the database, your columns can have different data types. Right? In a matrix, can't have different data types, content, right? The same in an image. It has values, but it can't have different values, right? If it's vegetation, it has values of vegetation. It can't suddenly have TCAP one cell and vegetation in one cell, right? So this is the thoughts here of she's trying to get you to think of the different data structures and the different types of information.
I think they can't hear you correctly. There is an echo. Okay.
Hello. Just hello. Yes, hello, microphone testing. Hello.
Yeah, those online, can you hear us now? We are trying to test the microphone.
Yes, can you hear? Yes. Hello.
No, I can't. It's a lot of echo.
Gerson, can you hear us?
I can hear Christine, but the others I can't hear.
Good morning.
There's a lot of echo.
Hello.
I think that's the one, that's the.
Okay, can you?
Okay, let me mute.
Let's confirm.
I've muted. Okay, Gerson, can you help us out here? So I'm going to mute my device and we are going to use the microphone. Can you tell us now if there is an echo? So I'm muting my microphone and he's going to talk.
Because here's me.
So we're using this.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's great. So where did the echo come from? Oh, it's Poonam's laptop.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, can you talk?
Maybe
No,
somebody.
it seems like it's because of the size of the room. There's a lot of the open
Okay.
space and
Okay, great.
not
So
exactly feedback.
But
okay, great. So
But Jerson, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear, but it's better than before, but not like how I was hearing Christina.
okay, great. So yeah. So let's proceed with a quick exercise. I just want you to help identify the type of the data type in these variables. Okay, sorry. Oh, I'm taking off the presentation mode and yeah, let's start with age. Yeah, age. What's the data type for age? You can just randomly. I know it's a piece of cake to most of you. It's numeric. Which numeric? Continuous, discrete?
Continuous.
Continuous. Naturally. Thank you.
Mention that one.
Okay.
What if you wanted to look at age groups? Is it continuous? So you would change that variable to age group and then call it a numeric discrete.
Dowdy, did you hear that? Dowdy?
Pardon, please.
Yeah, we are talking about the data types and we just pointed out age.
Yes. Continuous.
Okay, great. So let's, what about the malaria test result?
Binary.
Binary. Thank you, Dowdy. Someone else, the facility type. Someone online, facility type.
Say ordinal.
It's ordinal. Okay. Is it ordinal? Nominal.
Yeah.
Depends if you code it or not.
What did you say, witness?
It depends if you code it, you give it numbers, or if you decide to write names. So it can be either.
Okay, it can be nominal or cardinal. It depends with if you are coding it or. Thank you very much, Annabelle. So I'll write categorical. Rainfall. In the house, rainfall.
Numeric.
Numeric, discrete.
Yeah, is it discrete or
Discrete.
continuous?
Continuous.
I thought discrete too, or is it continuous?
Well,
I think it's discrete.
so can you tell us why you think it's
Continuous.
Gerson, could you help us with understanding why you think it's discrete?
I'm not sure, but I'm comparing with the, I don't know if I'm confused, but I'm comparing with the with like blood pressure. It's not discrete.
So it can be both, right? It just depends on how you want to code it up. So maybe Dowdy, why don't you tell us why you think continuous?
It is continuous because can be measured.
So it's a continuous measure. So here's the trick, guys, is neither of you are actually wrong. It's your choice as the people who are creating databases to define that. Because if you decide rainfall is discrete, technically an integer is a discrete value, which means that it's rounded up, right? You can only have 100 millimeters or 101 millimeters of rainfall, or as Dowdy really correctly said, you can have it as a measurement with continuous. So you can have 100, 100.1, 100.2. And so both are actually correct, and it's up to you who is designing the database to think about which one would make more sense?
Right. Let's continue with the district. Let's finalize this district. Enes, did you say something? Okay, great. I know I kept you on spot. Okay, districts.
Categoric.
Thanks.
Categoric.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. So I just want to emphasize on this point. So it's very important to know the data types that you're dealing with. They really define how you're going to clean and analyze your data. If it's date, is it in string? No, it's not supposed to be in string. You have to put it in integer. If it is, if your outcome variable, maybe malaria test, it's in string, you know that you cannot analyze it in that format. You have to convert it. So always have in mind what type of, what data type you're dealing with and how you're going to take it inside your analysis. Okay, what's happening? Yeah, so let's look at the very important thing, the data management lifecycle. And we're going to pass here first because we have already touched based it before. Most of this, what's happening? Right. So the data management lifecycle, it defines how you're going to have your data from the time you are preparing it, cleaning it, throughout the way towards when you're going to share it. And this is very important phase. It's very important because we can see that data management, it's not sequential, it is a cycle. The output of one phase is the input of the other phase. We need to keep doing this. So the very first stage is the study preparation, or this is the study plan. And this reminds us that data management, it doesn't start at the data cleaning or not when you receive the data, but way back when they're preparing the study. So usually most of the research and most of the researchers, the principal investigator, usually include a data personnel when they're discussing on how they're going to conduct their study. And this is very important because he helps to stipulate to them how data should be handled. Example, he will advise, let us use according to the resources, let us use the electronic questionnaire instead of paper-based. Or he will advise them, let us put a skip in this question to avoid unnecessary errors, and so forth. So including a data personnel in the preparation of your study, it's very important. You can help to understand the aim, definition, rationale, and stuff. And the next stage is the data collection. So at this point, you've already understood your study. You already know the aim, you already know the objective, you already know what you're looking for, what you're going to test. Now you're going to the field to collect data. You have already trained your field workers. They have understood the questionnaire. They have, in Swahili, we say meza. They've already understood the questionnaire. So when they go to the field, they know exactly what they're going to ask. They're not leading the interviewee into the answers. They're going to probe. If it's a qualitative questionnaire, they're going to probe. They're not giving them the answers. So it's very important. I remember back in the days when I was very novel, you go to it was local school, very remote areas. You have your questionnaire, you have like 50 questionnaires and you're required to answer them all. At that time, of course, we did not know all about research. All we wanted at the end of the day is to have we're going to have money at the end. So we just go to the person, we ask, what's your NM age? And then if he doesn't answer, you just tick, 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 you collect. But that is very bad. So it's very good to involve the field workers on your research study. They have to understand why this is important. It's not about the quantity of the questionnaire that they have finished, but it's about the quality, the right answers that they have captured. That's why we really emphasize on training the field workers at the data collection phase. Train them to understand the study. Train them, it's about the quality of data. Train them to have the right information at the end. The other phase, so it depends if you're using primary or secondary data. It's all the same. Then the data manipulation. Data manipulation now, it's what we're going to do later in Excel. It's about data wrangling. Okay, now you are cleaning your data set. You have your data set there, then it's very messy. You're going to clean it, to standardize it, doing all the validation. And this is very important. As I said, in data management, it's a cycle. It receives from the data collection. So if you messed up in data collection, you're going also to mess in the data manipulation. The other phase is the data analysis. Now, this is very critical because at this point, we are going to generate information. You're going to analyze your data. You are going to, if you're going to conduct modeling, if you're going to do all these things, at the end, you're going to generate the information that is required. Then at the interpretation phase, you're generating your visuals, your plots and everything. Then you're going to disseminate or share your information. So we can see that in the data management lifecycle, it's all about the cycle. It's all about the output of one phase is the input of the other phase. You have a question?
It's good to have study. And sometimes we approach what actually very this is it. So it's kind of
To involve.
to go back to the previous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I can relate. Yeah. So it's not always from data preparation to data collection. At some point, you'll need to go back and do some editings and changes and then move forward. Yeah. Thank you, Remblis. Yeah, so the other phase, it's data management plan. How many of you have come into contact into this? Online people?
No.
So a data management, okay, thank you, witness. A data management plan, it is a document. It's a document that defines how your data is going to be handled. It's defining what data is created, what data is going to archive, your data. How is it created? Who is going to analyze it? Is it going to be archived? How long is it going to be archived? After how many years is it going to be decomposed? And all those things. So the data management plan, it really defines and gives you the whole history of your data. Who is going to share? Who is going to have access to that data? So it gives you what policies will apply to the data, who will own the data, access to the data, what data practices will be used, and everything. So usually in many big studies, it's a very necessary thing to have a data management plan. It adds to that transparency. Who owns the data? Is it your data? Is it my data? I've worked in this study whereby the data is owned by this organization in England. And here, the data is completely not supposed to stay in the servers in Tanzania. So what they do is the people go to the field, and I'm just a middle person. The people go to the field, they correct the data. I see it is there. I click send, it goes there. So as the country, we have nothing to do with the data. You're just there as an observer. So all these things are stipulated in the data management plan. Who owns the data? How long is the data going to be archived? So there is this archive. We have kept all these study documents. After particular areas, years 5, 6, 10, make sure this data is burnt. All these things are stipulated in the data management plan. So it carries the very important things about how data is going to be handled. But also, we can talk about tools. How is it going to be protected? And what are the repositories going to use? How is it going to be shared? All these are kept in the data management plan. So because of time, I won't share the data management plan sample, which you have, but simply it's something like that about storage, about distraction, about who going to access it and who is not and stuff. Yeah. So before we go to a 5-minute break, of which I see most of you are kind of tired, let us first quick track into Excel. I know most of you are familiar with the Excel tool. You have started using it for most of your quick summaries, your quick plots, you are using Excel. And it's very handy, it's very easily accessible, and it has a very friendly graphical user interface, and it's very perfect for quick visuals again. It has free course in LinkedIn. You can find the free course. It also allows you to perform some of the statistical analysis, but also it comes with some of its downfalls. So Excel has a limitation to the number of columns that you can use and the number of rows. So if you are dealing with a very large data set, you will start feeling the pinch. Also, some tasks are done manually. We'll get to see this, and repetitively. It's 2026. And it's so easy to make mistakes, and reproducibility and consistency of outputs and the data processing steps, it's not trivial. So we're going to see some of the downfall of it. And because of this, and because of these downfalls, now this will take us to the next step of our workshop, when we're going to learn about more advanced tools. So let me give a 5-minute break to stretch up, and then we come to practical. Yeah, thank you, everyone. People online, see you after 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes break. Yeah.
We are starting.
Yeah, so
Are you increasing one? Yeah. It is. To go. Yes.
Increase the temperature.
so welcome back everyone. Let us proceed. So in this phase, we are going to look onto the most data quality issues that we generally encounter in our data sets. Some of them we have already previously seen, but just to highlight a few of them. Once we receive the data set, what are we looking at? We look at the missingness, the outliers, if there are any error or invalid data. We look at the dates formats. For some reason, some will serve as day, month, year. Others will switch that, start with year and stuff. So those are all the things to look at. But also we are looking at the mixed formats. It's a variable column, a numeric column, but for some reason, somebody reported it as a string. We are looking at all those differences. But also reorganize, sort, filter, and all those stuff. This is an exemplary data set, and we are not going to pass through that. We already saw it. But quickly, we can see that the age has an outlier. We can see that sex is differently defined. So those are the small things to identify when you receive a data set. You're supposed to be very keen and to look at each column. Now, so let's dive into practical. Let's go into that link. I want you to download that routine data.csv. All of you, please. Poonam, can you share the link with them?
Please request accessibility.
So everyone, you might have by now received the link. Click onto that link and have the access to all the data that you're going to use. Open the routine underscore data.csv. Our first task is very easy. We're just going to explore. We are going to explore our data set and identify any errors.
Just open the link. So should you click the link I sent you? Hopefully it should work. Please let me know if you still don't have access.
So take time to understand your data set. Take time to understand your data set. Look what is unusual. Look what is inconsistent. Identify the incompleteness. Yes, Taiwo, are you done? Okay. Are you done? Okay, great. So I want to believe up to now you have identified a few of them. So let us discuss them on the process while others are continuing to observe other issues. Yes, please. What have you identified, please? Mm-hmm. Sorry, in which column? We're still on the test identified.
It's testing
Mm-hmm.
as NA.
Mm-hmm.
If for someone who doesn't dismiss it, another to the data they contact as this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Someone else?
So what I find is first, because it's on the data, it would be helpful to have the definition of each columns, what does it do?
Mm-hmm.
And on the column admin one,
Mm-hmm.
there is this end costs and growth costs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that means same. Yeah.
What I identify in the column of errors,
Mm-hmm.
we have 2023, we have also 8.
Yeah, thank you.
Five, there is like the grievance number.
Test, okay, test under 5, yeah.
And this.
Okay. So which tool did you use to identify that? Did you just observe or did you just scroll, or which tool did you use to, you scrolled? Okay, so you also, you filtered. And Rembliss, which tool did you use to identify those errors? Oh, you filtered, great, great. Thanks, everyone. So the objective here is also to discuss about the tool that we generally use upon exploring the dataset. So filter comes in very handy, and it takes you so fast in identifying and quickly observing your data set. So let me stop sharing this one and share with you the Excel file so that we can quickly see how to. Sorry, okay. Great. Yeah, okay, okay. Thank you, Punam. Okay. I'm going to share this again. Yeah. What happened? Yeah, there we are. You can decide to scroll, but sometimes you can receive a data set which is very long. It has a lot of observations, a lot of columns, and it will be very tiring. So the first tool that comes in handy using to explore your data set fast is by using filter. And so you can click Control Shift L, or you look at the top parts and the left parts. You look for the filter symbol, or Control Shift L. Shift L. So here we have the filter button. You can click that filter button, or you can click Control Shift L so that we can have these filters. So these filters will give you a quick tabulation of your column. If I click there at admin 1, I will see that I have central, east, northeast, coast, plains. So from there, I'll identify that north coast and north coast should be standardized. We should have one. So I will sort. Our second task is to make changes. So let's just proceed and make changes to our data set. Therefore, I will just select the north coast. So at this point, I have to standardize the end coast to be the north coast. Can we do this all together and change the end coast to be north coast? How are we going about? Yes.
And this takes about I'm wondering if you could have probably another tab where you document what you're doing. Because it should, even though we know that might be not cost. Even though we know that not cost is the same as and cost, right? We should document and change some. So we should do a law with the team.
Yeah, sure.
Because it should bring also functions. And I guess on the disadvantages of Excel, that's what you wanted to say. Sometimes it's hard to know where you come from. So you want to also give this person, anyone, this like the new Excel back to someone, say convert it to the original, and we should be done with it.
Yeah. But well, thank you, Ernest. You just have told me, you have just been ahead, but I already have that. I already have it in the README file in the document that Punam has shared with you. There is a small notepad written README. So it's a notepad which we are documenting all the changes that we are doing on your raw data set. So example, in our context now, we are changing the end coast to be north coast. So once we have changed this, we have to document this in your text file. And in our case, the text file, I've written it README. I think if you try to open it, you'll find a README. So it's advised when you're dealing with Excel, since there is no option of putting a comment, then you are to use the notepad and document all the changes that you're applying to your raw data set. And also to remind you, yeah, it's okay. Please, it's okay. And also to remind you, and this is very, very important, once you do these changes, please don't save your raw data set. This is our routine data. It's a raw data set. Raw data set should always remain unchanged. So we'll do these revisions. We'll clean this data set. At the end, we'll save it as a raw data underscore clean at the end. Always never replace your raw data set. You'll always need to come back and use it. So let's go ahead. You can click Control Find. We are trying to replace. So simply we are finding N cost. And we are replacing it with North cost. Yep. I think cost is capital. Yeah. Up. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Victor. So when we say that Excel, it's very easy to make error. It starts from here too, because I am trying to replace North cost to be North cost. So there is this instance where someone will click replace all. You have to be very careful when you are dealing with the replace all button. Sometimes, especially in numbers, it's going to replace all numbers and you're going to introduce new errors. So be very careful. Usually what I do before I do that, I used to click to select my old column that this is the, this is the column that I'm going to deal with. Then I'm going to either replace it or replace all. So even if I replace all, I'm going to replace all in that specific column. Is there a question? Great. So the 45 changes has been done, and then we are closing. I'm removing the filter. There we are. Now, if we look at the tabulation, we'll see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 administration units. I want to believe that we are all familiar with admin 1 and admin 2. Is there someone who does not understand admin 1 and admin 2? Yeah. Online, do we all understand admin 1 and admin 2?
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much, Annabelle and others. So when you are cleaning the column, your data set, you have to go column after column. You're going to look at the other column. Okay, now you're confident that the first column, it's clean. You're looking at your second column. Remember, you have read your study document. You know the geographical area of your study. You know how many regions that you're dealing with, how many districts you are dealing with. Now you are doing this to verify. Okay, you verify that you have all the required administrative 2 units. Then you go to the health facility. You'll see that you have all the 100 points health facility. That's correct. You go to the next. You check onto the months and you see that, okay, all the months are well represented. Same applies, you go to the year. As some of you have already identified that the year is miscorrectly represented, you have to change that too. So again, I'll go to the year, I'll select all of it. We are finding 18 and we are replacing it to 2018. So in this instance, if I replace all, what will happen? Yes, Babalevo? That's okay. If I replace all, what will happen? All the vice versa, I think it should be. Ah, great. 18 will be replaced with. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's correct. So this is why we say that it's very easy to make errors in Excel. Because if I click here, replace all the 18s will be 2018. And again, when we say that Excel, it's very repetitive, this is what we mean. We have just finished making changes in one column. We are repeating the same process in the second column, the third and the fourth. So I'll just change this and I'll leave the rest for you to change. Yeah, that's what we say. 2018, it has become like this, which is find what? Now I have to find 2018 and replace them to 2018. Okay. Okay, great. So before we go to the next task, there are also issues of missing values. I think we have to speak about this. So I want to believe that prior at the beginning of your study, you have discussed how you're going to handle the missing values. We have a data set and we have seen that we have the negative 9999. At the very beginning, you should have discussed that the invalid values or the values that for some reasons the answers cannot be determined, we are using the code as negative 999. So that means at the end, when you see that code, you have to replace it with a missing value. So we just cannot take negative 999 and put 0. And why is that not advisable? Why that is not advisable? Quickly. To replace NAs and maybe these invalid numbers to 0.
I'm not sure if this is the correct answer, but there is a specific way of how to handle missing values. So you check how many NAs you have. Then if they're less than 10 or 5% of the data, you're free to delete the columns. But then if you just change the NAs to keep them a value, then you might introduce more errors to the data.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is it Annabelle, I suppose? Yeah, great. So yeah, there are various ways of dealing with missing values. And of course, you cannot replace the NA or negative 999 with 0 because as Baba Level said, 0 it's a number. So we cannot put that. Again, you can leave it blank for the sake of this analysis. You can leave it blank and proceed with analysis. But again, if that is it depends if that is the outcome variable. It's a very important variable you have to take a next step into advanced analysis on how you're going to deal with these missing values. So it all depends what data is missing. If it's very important, then you have to think about other advanced techniques of dealing with missing values. Otherwise, don't put 0 as a missing. You have found NA, replacing NA with 0, it's completely not advised. The negative 999 with 0, we do not do that. Please leave it blank. So in our case, we will replace the NAs and the negative 999 with 0. Sorry, blank. Okay, I'm stopping to share this and I am going to I'm going back to the slides. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can you speak loudly, please?
Does it verify? They tell some issues. We wanted to replace the name empty cell. What if I decide to replace with any click cell? Like, what if an advantage of having empty cell and having an A maybe as arguing.
Yeah, great. First, Annabelle, I want to believe that you have had Lemblis. Annabelle? Okay, great. So Remblis was insisting on the disadvantage of deleting the rows. because of course they carry other information which might be very useful. So it's not advisable in deleting rows. So if I go back to Rembli's question, you want to add? Okay, great.
If it's possible, if you don't have like taxi, if you have just a static vehicle, like you are using people, and for some observation you have already, maybe then you can apply what she advised here. But if it is taxi vehicle, for example, those of malaria, if you are, because every month is important. Every report is important. If you delete, for example, in one company, all the months of September, and normally September is where high number of cases are reported, you are losing big thing about similarity. And maybe deleting the NA, you get them from what type of data you have.
Okay, thank you, Osman. Thank you, Osman. Because of time, I will go a little bit fast. So, Rambis, to your question, again, it depends with which tool you're using for analysis. Example, if you're using Excel for analysis, you cannot put NA. You just have to replace it with an empty set because it cannot do the functions and calculations and other technical analysis. But when you come back to R, of course, it understands NA and you can proceed with that. So it goes back to the kind of tool that you're using. No more typos. So once your data set is very clean, I'll go a little bit fast here. So once your data set is very clean, you can proceed with doing in the other step of analysis. So task 3, you are supposed to create another variable whereby you will add test 5 and test under 5 and test over 5. So we will skip that. We are not going to do this here. But what's the idea here? The idea here, you cannot do this manipulation if you have not cleaned your data set. If you still have the negative 9999 and you create a new variable, it will give you a very wrong answer. I mean, you'll have negative values and forth. Therefore, I emphasize that it's very important to clean your data set before you jump into the analysis. The other task 4, it's about aggregates, where you're supposed to aggregate the total tested by admin 1 and admin 2. And this is very important, especially when you want to visualize your data. You have to aggregate it. So aggregation comes in very handy and easy once you use pivot table. So we are not going to learn this right now, but there is this gadget in Excel called pivot table. It allows you to do this quick analysis, the aggregation and other quick summaries together with the plotting. For the sake of time, can I jump here? Why do we even want to visualize? So let's assume that we have already conducted this analysis. You've got your answers, and now your data set is clean, like the one on the right-hand side. You need to visualize it, and you got those plots. Can someone quickly tell me, why do we want to visualize? I haven't heard Alsene. Yes, please. Yeah, I wanted to hear your voice.
Just other things according to the path. Just simple test 5, the definition of the variables.
Yeah, test under 5.
Yes. As here, I don't have the meaning of each variable.
Yep.
To explain.
Had.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for trying. Yeah.
Nice. Visualize to understand the trend better. You see it more clearly than looking at non-big store sheets, different ones. You can see clearly the trend at each administrative level at a glance.
Yeah.
I think that is the reason for visualization.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, can you add on that, Ariel?
Also, Dowdy suggests that it helps you to visualize the reality of your data.
Thanks, Daudi.
I think it's to have a better insight of data and get to know the trend
Yeah,
of
yeah.
data.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. That's very correct, because once you are dealing with a very big data set like this, it's very hard for our eyes to pick the very small minor changes. So once you visualize, as most of you have said, it gives you the picture of the trend, the pattern, you can understand. So there are some instances when you will need to use table, when you need to know the discrete information, but there are instances when you definitely have to use figure. And again, there are instances you need to use both to represent your data. So that is all about that. And we have seen the Excel and we have seen some limitations about it. And this does not mean that you are not supposed to use Excel. No, but according to your data set, it will guide you onto which tool you need to use. At some instances, you definitely need to use Excel, but into other instances, you will need to use advanced tool for your analysis. So it all depends. So into that, I will leave Poonam to proceed into the rest of the slides. Thank you very much.
Great. So thanks, guys. Christina has given you a really great introduction to how Excel works. And I'm going to ask both online folks if you can raise your hand, and in the room folks, how many of you have been using Excel on a day-to-day basis? You can put up your hand using the reaction for online folks. How many use Excel? Even if it's like you've opened something, right? Like all of us start in Excel, right? And the reason that we wanted to do this first workshop in Excel is we wanted to start where everybody starts, and that is Excel, right? And we've seen so far that you have some really cool things you can do in Excel, really fast things you can do in Excel. But as you get into data analysis, you're seeing that things become hard. Jerson mentioned like how he's got 50,000 points and he has to do the same thing over and over and over again, right? Dowdy and Witness are talking about rainfall data that they're collecting from the meteor office, and like they have to figure out every sheet and how that connects. So as you go along in this workshop and in this course, we are going to help change your mindset about that reproducibility. And we're going to introduce you to newer tools like R and R Studio that can help make your life a little easier. I know that many folks are already familiar with R and R Studio. So we're going to think of this as tips and tricks to make your life easier to do some of these good practices, okay? With that in mind, R and R Studio are both softwares. And I also wanted to ask if folks have managed to download these softwares. So there are a number of softwares that you are going to require for the rest of these workshops. One will be R and one will be R Studio. R Studio is the graphical user interface that allows R to look nice and easy to use. So please make sure that you install these. For those folks who are on Windows, my apologies, I'm on Mac, so I don't think about this often. You may also need to install R Tools, which is helpful in building packages. So as you go along, this will be an advanced thing that we are going to try and teach you. In addition, when we are going to learn about how to do things repetitively, we're going to learn about what we call version control. And version control, we're going to teach you a really cool tool that we regularly use here at MAP and MOD, which is Git and GitHub. So you, for that, are going to require VS Code on Windows laptops. It also works on Mac. And you are also going to require Git, which is a software language. as well as register a GitHub website. So this can sound pretty overwhelming, and I wanted to just quickly ask everybody, both online and in the room, you can, online folks, just put a quick yes or no in the chat. Would you like an extra session this Wednesday for 1 hour where we just sit and install all these softwares to make sure that they're active on your laptops? So online folks, just a quick yes or no on the chat. In here, hands up if you'd like a session, hands down if you don't want a session. Okay. So we will set up a new link on Wednesday if you're okay with the same time, 11 a.m. That is 10 a.m. Mozambique time, and I believe it's 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. Nigeria time. But we'll send you a new 1 hour Zoom link where we'll sit together and just make sure that all of your softwares are installed, okay? With that in mind, I think it's now time to close ourselves up for this workshop and session. I hope that you had a really good time. I know that we unfortunately started to run low on time, so I'm just going to quickly encourage you. All slides are readily available for you, and there were several tasks that we have unfortunately had to skip. But please, if you would like, please go through these tasks. If we finish installing early, we can talk through these tasks on Wednesday. So there was some about identifying typos in the admin 1. There was task 3 about creating new variables, and task 4 about aggregating them up to different kinds of levels. And then finally, there was task 5 about joining things. I know that just from some of your comments about data challenges, each of these tasks would be helpful to go through. So please, in your own spare time, try and go through these tasks. We can spend some time on Wednesday talking through them as well. With last thing that I wanted to end on is we only have 4 people that have filled in the pre-workshop surveys from the MAP ECR participants. We have 8 of you. That means half of you have not filled them. So please, before we close today, can you please fill in that pre-workshop, because you are required to fill in the post-workshop before the next class. So I might give you guys some time to just fill in your surveys as we end and close this. The post-workshop surveys will be emailed out to you tomorrow by your coordinator, Nema. And we ask that you please fill those in before the next workshop as well. All right. If you guys are struggling to understand why do we need a pre and post workshop, like this is a lot of surveys, right? It's to help us understand your learning. So if we are seeing that there are things that you would like to learn more of, or there are things that you have done a workshop and like you still haven't really figured it out, it helps us with being able to customize to you guys and add on new workshops that could be helpful. All right. So they are incredibly valuable to your teachers and your facilitators and your coordinators, because if we're seeing there's no change, it helps guide us to know that we need to add a new thing. All right. So with that in mind, I'll end with also saying that there is a lot of self-guided material that is available online. We will post them through with the email on the post survey workshop. So one example is a lot of this material has been designed using the templates of the carpentries. The data carpentries has a great Excel workshop. It's free, it's self-paced. So if you really want to go deeper into like how Excel works, please go and look at the data carpentries website. They design them around ecology mostly, but they have like genomic information as well. So you can look at how you would design different databases across different sciences. There are also loads of LinkedIn websites. So one of the things she said positively is LinkedIn might be your best friend when it comes to Excel. So please have a look around with the LinkedIn Excels as well in case you need it. With that in mind, I think that is the end of this workshop, right? We're going to stay online for another 5 minutes. So if anybody has any questions or burning Q&As, now is your time, both online folks and in the room. Any questions?
So, Puna, yeah, I have a question about the survey. I'm not sure if I've submitted or not, because when I fill all the needed information, when I submit it, normally it appears the message like form submitted or questionnaire submitted, but I see something different like form recorded. So I'm
Oh,
not sure, yeah, if
could
it has
you
been
try?
submitted or not.
Could you try again to submit that pre-workshop survey? It should say form submitted or thank you for filling the form.
Okay, yeah, I submitted. No, I filled both the first one and the second, and the information was the same.
Yeah. So the difference between the post-workshop surveys is you'll find 2 extra questions about what you learned. And the idea there is that's helping us to gauge if like it was useful to you or not. So they might look
Okay,
exactly the same. Yeah.
so there's no way for you to see if you have submitted or not the previous two question. No.
Unfortunately, no, we wanted to keep if participants are okay, maybe in the next workshop we can open up that you have to fill in your emails, which allows us to track. But we were keeping them de-identified so that you felt like we weren't picking on you. But are you guys all okay with us opening the surveys so that we know who's filled what? If you are, maybe give me a thumbs up online, in the room, just put a thumbs up. No? Okay. Okay, we'll keep them de-identified then. So yeah, Jerson, unfortunately, if it's de-identified, we won't be able to track who has submitted. We'll just need to go on the numbers. So if you are in doubt, my suggestion is go back to the link and just try follow it until you submit. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So Kaiser said a great thing is he said, if you have used the same email to do the survey, most likely it will deny you because you can only fill it once. So Jerson, if you click the link and it works, it means it never submitted the first time.
Yeah, okay, I'll try it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll follow up for those of you who we'll follow up if we're still seeing 4 responses, because it would be great to get more than 4. But with that, please fill in your post-workshop surveys. We will send them out to you, and maybe we can close this workshop. So thank you all for your time. Thanks all everybody online, and we'll see you on Monday for workshop 2, which is Intro to Malaria Epidemiology. So thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Jerson. Bye, Dowdy.
Oh, Puna, I have submitted. I tried now and it says that I've already submitted. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.